What started as an online expression of displeasure turned into a fierce public display. How has this affected our economy so far, and what are the potential impact post-protest? My guest on the show today is ready to discuss this with me tonight. Welcome to MarketSquare. My name is Oluwapelubi, and as always, I'm glad to have you join me on the show. Now, I can't wait to introduce my guest to you on the show today. We have a special one. But before I get into that, I want to inform you that you would have the exchange rate figures displayed on the screen as we have our conversation on the protest. My guest today is an economist and an entrepreneur. Please welcome with me Bimpe Ojo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right then. So we saw videos like you will see on the screen now of some parts of Nigeria that were very, very disturbing. In Kaduna yesterday, Fidelity Bank was attacked by hoodlums, and some shops were even attacked. And what do you think of the situation on ground as an economist? What do you think of what's happening? What started on the 1st of August and is still on even till now?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity, and then I would like to commend you for the good work you're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, to the protest, as an economist, this is a concerning issue, the protest, and to see what has been happening, going on, especially in the north, Kano, Kaduna, what even happened in Borno. It's just very concerning, whether in the short run or the long run, honestly. Very concerning.
Okay.
About that.
Now, but before the protest started, the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, led by Mr. Muda Yusuf, had cautioned that the protest would inflict an estimated daily loss of about 400 billion naira, which has severe consequences on the economy. I mean, if you have businesses lose as much as over 400 billion naira because of protests, that calls for a lot of talk. So what do you think of this? Do you think that given what has been seen, we've seen shops looted, we've seen cars burnt, we've seen people beaten, do you think that the loss in the last couple of weeks, in the last couple of days, is way over the amount estimated to be 400 billion, is way over 400 billion naira?
Okay, so according to a report I saw that gave an estimation of what happened in the first 3 days of the protest, 400 billion naira was what was projected, but what was lost was over 700 billion naira.
Wow.
In the first 3 days. First of all, it started with panic. Anytime we hear protest, considering the fact that something like that has happened before, enters period, and we saw the loss, what happened totally. So a lot of businesses had to quickly shut down. Then some of them had to, as a result of them shutting down, revenue generation was on hold. I mean, so a lot of things were lost. People shut down. A lot of people couldn't move. Transportation, zero, because people were scared of going out because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if they're going to break our head when we go out or someone's going to throw bottles. So, over 700 billion naira was lost in the first 3 days, according to a report I saw. So we've gone beyond 400 billion. And then if that was lost in the first 3 days, imagine what would have been lost up to now.
Up until now. Now, just speak on what you mentioned. You mentioned about transportation business, and this requires movement. I remember during the COVID-19 where movement was restricted, how that Uber drivers lost a lot of money, boat drivers did not quite make a lot of money. So, but again, of all of these businesses you mentioned, which one do you think got affected the most?
Well, transportation first, considering the fact that there was no fuel scarcity. I won't say there was no fuel. Fuel scarcity. So a lot of people restricted their movements. Offices had to shut down. Workers weren't going. It affected me as well because I have a program I'm running in Lagos. So I had to not go anywhere because I didn't know. I didn't want a situation whereby I'll be on the road and something would happen. I don't have anywhere to go. So transportation industry or transportation sector, was affected by that. And then people dealing in consumer goods, well, to an extent, especially people that have, that sell large things in large, not petty things. I mean, food, that was their time because people had to panic buy. Even I had to do that to stock up. I had to call my people, please stock up because we don't know what's going to happen. So those ones made money. But for businesses, see what happened in Kano. They were looting. I saw some people carrying keypads, keyboard, and then monitors and all. So imagine that kind of person here. They must have locked up their shops. Nothing to be done at that period. So that could have contributed to that.
Wow. So people actually lost money given this protest.
lost
And
money.
in fact, it was very intense the first 3 days, only to find out, even the first 3 days, to see how much people lost, just 3 days of protest. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made some economic moves since he came on board, and which we cannot deny has triggered the price of things to go up. For instance, he removed fuel subsidy, he liberalized the exchange rate, and that has caused foodstuff to go higher. We've also seen unemployment get on the high side, hunger across board. And do you think, as an economist, do you think that these policies, the policies they implemented, which we know are directly proportional to the pain experienced at the moment, the increase in the foodstuffs, do you think the policies were implemented, or were they implemented at the wrong time, the wrong way? What do you think?
Okay, first of all, the liberalization of Naira. No sane country, pardon my language, but no sane country at the moment going through what we're going through in Nigeria would allow your Naira to float. Because liberalization is just you allowing the forces of demand and supply to just do their thing. Just leave the Naira, let it float, let it just do. Whether the demand for a year starts going to cause a reduction in price, I mean, the value of your Naira is going to go up. And then if there's no demand, just leaves it going down the drain. So what happened in the case of Nigeria, the Naira was left floating compared to US dollars. I mean, the almighty US dollars, almost every international market deals in dollars. So you can't expect Naira to compete with that in the market. That is something I saw that was wrong. Something similar happened in 2016 where they left the Naira floating as well. And then Naira went all the way to 600 and something, 900 and something Naira per dollar for just $1. Now, Naira was left like that. That time, okay, the government had to intervene. They had to step in at that point to quickly rescue the Naira. Now, check the exchange rate for, as of today, over 1,000 plus.
1,006.
Exactly. So that is not fine. In a country where things are going smoothly, where ceteris paribus, I mean, all things being equal, it would have worked. I mean, let everything just, demand and supply, let them do their thing, let them bring value to the Naira or the currency. But Nigeria that has faulted a whole lot of economic policies, I mean, not regular. Nigeria is not a regular country where any policy can just work. Any policy that's going to come in place has to be intentional and it has to be strategic. Yes. So that decision, it would have worked in any other country, maybe not Nigeria, but at that moment, leaving Naira to just be on its own, unattended to, nah.
Okay, so we're talking about the liberalization of the exchange rate there. And then what about the fuel subsidy, the model of fuel subsidy? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it also boils down to the foreign exchange because nothing could have been done, considering the fact that Nigeria is still dependent on importing, despite having a refinery already. Nigeria has 4 refineries, just one of them, that's Dangote refinery now that is thriving. And then with the policy that just came for NNPC to supply crude to Dangote refinery. Other refineries, the 3 others, 2 in Port Harcourt, then we have one in Kaduna, then we have another somewhere in the north there. So those ones were not working. They were just there. So this Dangote refinery that is just going, nothing works except for this exchange rate. Everything still boils down to exchange rate. And then as long as the Naira is still left floating, it's still going to affect it. It's still going to affect the currency. It's still going to affect the prices of fuel. That's just basically what.
Okay. But let's just talk about so some people have said that the strategy was needed to be plugged in. But again, I think about the approach. So there's something about the strategy, there's also approach, right? If say you want to remove your subsidy, and given the fact that you know that this takes a lot of our money every single time, but the way you carry that out is also very, very important. What do you think about that?
I agree, because if you're saying you're removing fuel subsidy, I mean, when I heard it first time, I was like, oh, okay, they're removing it. But then, okay, that means things should be easy for us as people. Because if you're saying somewhere, a place that used to take your money, you now say, okay, you don't want that money to go that way. That means the money should flow into another part of the country. Yes. I mean, that could have been used to sort out a few things. And then standard of living should have been a soft landing for us as a nation. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen that way. Fuel subsidy stopped. Where was the money diverted to? That is a very big question. Because if it's being removed, that should show, there should be evidence, allow me use that. There should be evidence in other places. But that didn't happen. It's just looking like nothing has been done. Where did the money go? Everybody's screaming, where did the money go? So it's just a sad reality. It's not supposed to be. For subsidy being removed, supposed to just create a soft landing for us as a nation.
Sure. Now, let's talk about debt profile. Some days ago on the show, I had Ola about today on the show where we discussed about the loan given to Ethiopia by the World Bank and also the IMF. Now, Nigeria's debt profile is a lot. You have an image on the screen that tells about that. The Debt Management Office said as of March 31st, 2024, the country's domestic and external debt stood at about 121.67 trillion naira, which means that Nigeria's debt rose by 24.33 trillion naira within 3 months from 97.34 trillion naira in December 2023 there. Now, according to Avrism in its latest country report says Nigeria's debt service to revenue ratio has increased significantly from the 3.8% in 2017 to a projected 110.4% in 2024, which signals that we are in for it. Now, if you're going to look at an economy that wants to grow, an economy that wants to strive, do you think that increase in debt profile, keep borrowing money? I think some days ago I read that the World Bank also wants to give them Nigeria money again after loaning us about over 8 times already. And even the Africa Development Bank has also decided to give Nigeria a portion of the money promised to help boost a particular sector in the economy. Do you think that with the way our debt profile is rising, breakthrough is there?
I doubt so. I doubt so, because even as individuals, if you just keep borrowing and borrowing, you're just going to keep being indebted to your borrower, whoever is giving you the money. Nigeria as a nation, if we were owing that large in 2017, and now compare it, it's higher. And some of the few points our president mentioned during his 10.10 speech that he gave, he mentioned that, okay, we're already clearing some of our debts. But I still ask that question of, why is it still high if you say we're clearing it? We are still borrowing. World Bank is still going to do. A few months back, we saw that World Bank also intervened at a point that they now distributed the funds among the states. I think it was just Anambra State that didn't get the fund. Other states might have thought, okay, it was money, free money, but it wasn't free money. They're just lending you that money. You still have to spit it out at some point. So as a nation, it's not advisable to just keep borrowing unless there's a way to reduce that debt or those debts significantly. One of the ways we could do that is through that subsidy removal. He mentioned that some of the money from the subsidy removal was diverted into debt cancellation or debt resolution, if I could put it that way. But I don't think we're seeing workings yet.
Absolutely.
I don't think we're seeing that yet.
Yeah, well, I like for Paul to project an image that suggests that list out the items that the president said he has done, the things he said he has done. So far, so good. A lot of over 10 things he said he has done, and I guess the latest of that is the approval of the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira, which could not pacify the protesters who still came out to say we want to air our thought and air our mind. Also, there is also the part where the federal government declared the 150-day import duty free for people importing goods into the country, which commenced on Monday for about 150 days. So those are the things the president said he has done. So far, so good with the money, with the proceeds from the removal of fuel subsidy. But before we talk about new economic policies, we have seen the president sign into law the new minimum wage, 70K, payment of over 1 billion naira each to manufacturers. Also, the removal of tariffs and import duties on rice. I mentioned that already. Rice, wheat, drugs, and other pharmaceutical supplies for the next 6 months. And also mentioning that he has also made available tractors to farmers, and then again, what billions of naira there. Brazil, for instance, they've gotten some stuff from Brazil, United States, and even Belarus. Now, are these moves by the government, by the president of Nigeria, so far so good? He just spent over a year already. He clocked the year in the month of May, and then you have June, July, we're now in August.
14 months.
Do you think that he has done well with the things he has listed?
Okay, as a textbook economist, that would have been very good. I mean, if you have it in the textbook, I mean, everything should work well that way. Telling you, okay, import, reduce taxes, reduce tariffs and everything. It would have been very nice. But honestly, the 70,000 naira minimum wage, new minimum wage, is not anything as long as the inflation rate is still on the high side. Because if you compare it to what it used to be a few years ago, take the 70k naira, what can you buy now? It's 70k naira, can you buy you a bag of rice? Okay, aside from the bag of rice they brought that the federal government said they should share for everybody at 40-something K per bag. But that's ideally, realistic, if you're going to speak realistically, I mean, that is not good enough. The minimum wage doesn't count to nothing, because if you're saying you increase it to 70k, how many things can the 70k buy? According to something I saw from, I think Godswill Akpabio or somebody, he was giving a speech as at that time the minimum wage was put in place. He mentioned that, okay, that means your driver should be paid nothing less than that 70k. That means your house help, your domestic staff shouldn't be paid less than that 70k. If you are well fed in your house, if you are that rich enough, I mean, people are hungry in the country. Why would you tell them their domestic staff should be paid nothing less than 70k? As the person even eating, to now start saying you want to pay them over 70k. 70k is a whole lot if you think about it now. But what's the value of that 70k? What can he buy? Walk into the market, what can that 70k get you? Not so much. Not so much of, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I was surprised when the labor union settled for it and they agreed. I'm like, okay.
But how about the other part where you're saying that we're going to open our borders for about 150 days, ensuring that people can import goods for free? But what do you think of that? Do you think that would boost our what we have on ground already, and that would boost a lot of bring about variety of goods into the country? What do you think that would do to our economy?
Well, ideally, when we shouldn't encourage importation. I guess that's what the president was trying to do at first. He was trying to discourage importation of foreign goods. That was why the border was shut at first, to encourage domestic production. Locally produced goods should be patronized. People should own domestic money. Let everybody wear made in Nigeria, eat made in Nigeria, do things made in Nigeria. But that is for a country where the manufacturing sector of the country is actually very stable. You locked the border, you closed the border, then things were produced, but the hardship couldn't even make it reflect. They were still very expensive. People could not even afford basic amenities. So I wouldn't say we should discourage importation at this point. I think if we encourage importation, it would do us a little good, considering the fact that we aren't even producing much as a nation currently. Price of things are on the high side. I feel, and for the fact that it's going to be for free, why not? Let's get as much things as we can. It's just going to have an effect on our naira because we are going to be demanding more of the foreign currencies.
Now, I guess you agree with me that it mustn't be longer than 150 days. Because
it shouldn't, because it's going to be terrible if it's...
Yeah, you want to encourage local producers as well, so that they're able to produce. And the goods that they place this on, they say rice, wheat, maize, drugs. These are important.
Basic
these are necessary.
things, yeah.
So I guess 150 days is good. 150 days is good. But again, it mustn't exceed that because we don't want to do something that is counterproductive.
Import dependent is going to have an adverse effect.
Absolutely.
On us as a country.
Now let's now narrow down on what policies can the government implement to ease the pressure on the people. So it looks like a long list of the things the president said he has done, and the people are still saying that we are not satisfied. I guess that when you can meet the three important needs, food, shelter, clothing, people tend to be able to absorb so much pain. But what are the policies you think the government can implement to ease the pressure on the people?
Okay, just to speak in layman's term without giving so much economics jargon. So I would say that, first of all, inflation should be... Because what is inflation? Inflation is just the general increase in the prices of things. Yeah. And then when we're talking of basic necessities, we need food, clothing, and shelter for people. So if the prices of those things can be brought down, I mean, put policies in place that could just help us bring those things down, taxes imposed on those people and producers of food. I mean, first of all, insecurity rather is an issue affecting the food industry, food security in the country. Insecurity is a major issue because farmers are scared to go into the farm to actually get things. Go to other parts of the country. Okay, let me not digress now. Inflation, insecurity as one of the factors. The other thing is transportation. If we solve the insecurity issues, transportation issues should also be solved. Because take, for example, Benue. I like using Benue as an example because Benue is one of the largest producers of oranges. Imagine, because orange is a fruit in season. So imagine a period or a season where orange is in abundance. You have people in Benue, they have oranges in abundance. They have a whole lot of them at cheap rates because they just want it to go because it's a perishable good, of course. It's going to spoil in no time. They need to move it down here. We here need oranges. We need things like that in this part of the country. But we can't get it because transportation, insecurity on the road. People don't want to get on the road and then they get kidnapped and all. Transportation, the roads are just not in good condition to think of, to start with. So I feel if insecurity is tackled, transportation is solved, electricity, the remaining things might just be minimal. That's just what I feel, my personal opinion.
Food security is guaranteed. Things are going to reduce. I think it's also very, very true. When you can solve the issue of food and you can get people to believe that they are safe, it's only a matter of time before they keep believing and hoping that things will get better.
Exactly, because an hungry man is obviously an angry man. If you're hungry, there's nothing you want to say to that man.
Okay, a man who is hungry that can still go to the farm.
You just want to kill him. You have able-bodied people. People are willing to go. They want to work, but they can't just get into the farm. They can't just do anything because they are scared someone might come attack them. And who are these people that are just attacking them in the farms? We haven't really thought to address that. And it's just very unfortunate, quite unfortunate.
Wow. Okay, thank you very much for coming on the show today, Ms Bimpe Ojo on MarketSquare. And thank you for watching on MarketSquare tonight. We're glad you joined us. Do want to follow us on all our social media platforms, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. We are on TikTok. Follow us there to get updates every time we post a video. Oluwapelumi is my name. See you on the next one.